Okay, so looking at the options, the first one, are here is present tense. Next one is has been. Has been and have been, these two are in the present perfect continuous tense. Okay, so this means that the action was ongoing. Action began in the past and is still ongoing now. All right. Now, the next one is had been throwing. Okay, option 3. This is known as the past perfect continuous. Which means that my action was ongoing in the past. When second action took place. Okay, so in this case here, it's very straightforward. Monkeys is plural, so has been will be eliminated. And we are looking at an action that is still ongoing, so had been, it will definitely be out. Okay, and because not forgetting, we only have one action, throwing the banana. Okay, and because the action is ongoing in the past, it cannot be are, because are is in present tense. That means it is ongoing only starting from now. So the answer is very straightforward, number 4. All right. Now, let's go on to question 3. The charity event was held in 8 dash the orphans. So over here, we are interested in prepositions. Now, first thing we observe is in aid. So you're trying to help, raise funds, get support, and they are looking at a particular group of people, orphans, right? So those who lack the kind of parental support. So looking at the options, the first one is off. Off shows a relationship between two things. He is the mother of John. Okay, so we are looking at the relationship between mother and son. By here shows either a source or a method. I went to school by car. That is a method. The rice was bought by mother, source. Next is for. For means in support of something. And with shows something is complementary. I am going out with mother. Okay, so in this case here, we are looking at the aid. The aid, so the money is used to support the orphans, right? So we'll use number 3 for S because of the idea of supporting somebody. All right, moving on, let's take a look at question 4. Having dash permission from the teacher, the 2 girls left the classroom to go to the toilet. So over here, we're interested in tenses. Okay, first keyword that we observe is here, left the classroom. So it is in the past tense. Next thing we observe is having dash. Okay, so when we have having followed by something, right, it needs to be in the present perfect form, which shows the action is completed, but the effect is still felt. So over here, the effect is the ability to walk out of the classroom and go to the toilet. This is my effect. Okay, so when we have when we need to use a present perfect, our blank here needs to be in the participle form, which means the answer would be number 3, having sought. Okay, now looking at the other options. First two are in the present tense, just that 6 is singular. Seeking, this is in the continuous form. So usually we will say is seeking or are seeking, okay, to talk about how an action is ongoing as you speak. All right, moving on further, we have question number 5. So question 5 reads, Ali, who has known Mr. and Mrs. Tan for many years, is a good friend of Dash. So we are looking at Mr. and Mrs. Tan and how they have a good friend, which is Ali. So it's good. The Ali is a good friend of these two individuals, so you'll be good friend of theirs. Okay. Now, why is it theirs? Because theirs is a possessive personal pronoun. Okay, so all these 4 are known as personal pronouns. Personal pronouns basically replace the pronoun or noun that it refers to. So we are just doing a one-to-one swap. For example, the boy become his, something like that. His here is also possessive. So we are looking at things that are owned by the boy or a male. Right? Him is in the object form. So, for example, in a sentence, the man gave the boy a candy. So you can change the boy to gave him a candy. Okay, because this is your verb, gave is your verb, so your man is the subject. Okay, and the recipient is the boy. So this is the object. Similarly, them is in the object form. All right, we have come to the end of these first five questions. I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information. And if you need me to zoom in further on certain questions, do sound out. All right, everybody, if there are no further questions, let's move on to question 6. Okay, so the question reads, Thomas paid dash attention to the lecture as he was preoccupied with something else. Hello, who is this? Oh, I can't even see the name. Hello. Okay, so you can see over here we are interested in determiners. Now, what are determinants? Determinants are words that show quantity. Okay, so the first thing that we observe is he's preoccupied. So definitely the amount of attention that he can give would be very low. Okay, the next thing we observe is attention. Attention here is uncountable. So low quantity and uncountable, we only have one option, which is number 2. He paid little attention to the lecture. Now let's take a look at the other options to learn. Any. Any here means there's no specific quantity. Does anybody, do you have any money to spare me? So I'm looking at just someone giving me an amount of money which I don't care. So no specific quantity. Okay, next is some. Some here can be countable or uncountable. Can you give me some salt? You can't count salt, but I'm just telling you that I need a little bit, so you just give me one spoonful of it. Uncountable. Some of the boys participated in the competition. That's countable. I can count the number of boys. Lastly, we have much. Much here is uncountable. He put in much effort in his homework. And you can't count on effort. Okay? Alright. This is a very straightforward question, and I expect everybody to get this correct. In our exams, there'll always be one determinant question. Just that the options may vary slightly. Okay? But the concept is the same. So long as you determine your quantity and whether your subject is countable or uncountable, you can get the answer immediately. Alright, let's take a look at question 7. You dash report any suspicious behavior so that the authorities can look into the matter. So over here, we're interested in modal auxiliary verbs. Alright. Now, the first thing that we observe here. Hello, Junhao. Will. There is no will here. Okay. Looking at this question, we are looking at the authority. So it's something that's very formal and serious. Okay, so looking at the options, the first one is should. Should here refers to an obligation that you should do something. Would or will, right? It's used to give advice. I would tell the teacher if I was bullied. Yeah, I'm offering advice to somebody. Might. Here is the possibility of action. It might rain tonight. No guarantee. There's a chance. Could. Could here is used to make a request. Could you bring me some Milo from the fridge, please? Request. Okay. So in this case here, when we are looking at the need to do something, report a suspicious behavior, something very serious, something that we should be doing as an obligation. So as a citizen, when you see something wrong, you are expected to do something to ensure everybody's safety. So we will use number 1 because of the idea of obligation. Okay. Come, let's take a look at question 8. Father was hunched over as he was in a lot of pain, dash able to stand. So for this question, we're interested in adverbs. Alright, and the first thing that we observe is a lot of pain, which means that which this will affect over here being able to stand. So if you are in a lot of pain, you may worsen the pain if you try to stand up straight. Okay. As such, for this question over here, we need to look at our options. First one is never. Never, that means at no time. Next is the word hardly. Hardly means true to an insignificant degree. Usually means under normal circumstances, while seldom means not often. Okay, so in this case here, if you look at these few sentences, it's quite clear cut that the closest answer that we have is he is hardly able to stand. Okay, because he is in a lot of pain and standing would worsen it. Now let's take a look at question 9. That's what others believed. Mina was, in fact, a hardworking student. Okay, so over here we are interested in conjunctions. Now, some of you will be asking, what are conjunctions? Conjunctions refer to your words that link different pieces of information together. Okay, so you can see the word in fact here is used to show that kind of contrast. So many people may think that Mina, maybe she wasn't a very hardworking student, but the truth is she is. Okay, so this is the truth. Okay, so let's take a look at the options. The first one is owing to. Owing to shows a cause-effect relationship. Owing to the train breakdown, I could not reach school on time. Contrary to means question 9. Contrary to means the opposite of something. Next, on account of, that means it refers to because of something. So this one is used to show reason. On account of his good behavior, the school gave him an award. Lastly, resulting from shows an effect. Resulting from the car crash, he was injured. Okay, so over here, when we want to show contrast, you want to tell somebody that what you think is not correct. So it will be something is opposite. So the answer will be number 2. Okay, let's take a look at question 10. Sam dashed his own car if he had not been so worried about losing his way. So over here, we are interested in tenses. So the first thing that we observe is if he had not been so worried. So we are looking at a hypothetical situation. The truth is, okay, the truth. So what happened in reality? He was worried, did not drive car. Okay, that's why this sentence will come out. Okay, when we reflect on Sam's past actions. And you can see that driving the car, this would be an event in the past because we are already reflecting on it. So that means everything has already happened, finished already, right? As such, when you look at number 2, drives, this one is in present tense and singular. Definitely, this will be eliminated. Number 3, will have driven. This is also not correct because it is in the future perfect. That means you are referring to an action that only begin and end in the future, which doesn't make sense. Okay. Now we have 2 more answers, 2 more options. The first one is drove. Drove is in the past tense. Okay, but when you talk about drove, that means the action already happened. But in this case here, this act of driving did not happen. Okay, in reality, it did not happen. So we definitely cannot use drove. Now we are left with the last one. Would have driven. All right. So would have driven here is what we know as a conditional form, which refers to an event that will be in the past. At the time of conversation. So we're looking at how being worried has really occurred. And therefore, this hypothetical event would also have taken place in the past. Okay? So the answer would be number 4. All right. I'll just give everybody some time to take in the information for this page here. If you need me to zoom into any questions, do sound out. Right, if there are no further questions, let's move on. Now let's take a look at some vocabulary now. After losing our bet, my sister had no choice but to do my chores dash. Okay, so the first thing is chores. Chores is something like household work. People don't like to do it. So the idea is sister isn't really happy to be doing this, right? So we will need to use a word that describes this effectively. So looking at our options, the first one is warily. That means you are very. This refers to you being very cautious, very careful. earnestly means that you are very sincere or you have some kind of conviction. So maybe you are talking to the teacher very earnestly about us letting you join a particular CCA. So you're very sincere, you're very truthful, and you hope people will buy into the idea. Next one is grudgingly. Grudgingly means that you're very reluctant. You don't feel like doing it, and therefore you dread to do it. Okay, lastly, deliberately means that you do something on purpose. Usually something naughty, something bad. Okay. So in this case here, we are looking at how people usually don't want to do the chores. So the closest answer we have is number 3. When you are reluctant or you are very grudging. Okay. All right. Now, let's take a look at question number 12 now. Our conversation came to N-N when Josh burst in and interrupted us. So you can see, when Josh burst in, this is very sudden. That means the conversation was cut off halfway. So looking at the options, the first one is abrupt. Abrupt means sudden and unexpected. Next one, eventful, which means something is very interesting or exciting. Alright, next is unrealistic, which means that there is a wrong idea or something. While astounding means something is surprising. Alright, so you can see there needs to be the element of surprise and sudden. So unrealistic and eventful both don't have these elements, so it's not considered. Now we have astounding and you have abrupt. Okay. The idea that we also need to consider is interrupt, which means something is stopped at a very awkward manner. All right. As such, it will not be very surprising in that sense, but it's something that will make you feel uncomfortable. So the closest answer that we have is number 1, when it's unexpected. Okay, come, let's take a look at question 13 now. My teacher goes beyond her dash of duty and often stays back with us to help us with our work. So the idea is something to do with duty and how she stay back to help. That means she has some initiative. She's doing more than needed. Okay, back to our options. The first one is call. Okay, so when I look at all these words, I would combine them with duty. So call of duty, tour of duty, time of duty, care of duty. Okay, then we look at the meaning because this will be more accurate. Now, call of duty means that you feel that you need to do something, the feeling to do something, as it is your job. It is part of your job to do something. Okay. Next, tour of duty is basically a period of time in a foreign land. We usually use this for soldiers or like diplomats or government official when they go to another country to do certain missions. All right. Now the next one is time of duty. Okay, time here basically means a period where you are tasked to do something. All right, and lastly, care of duty. This refers to some kind of moral obligation that you have. Okay, obligation means that it's something that you need to fulfill. Okay, whether you like it or not, you need to fulfill it because it has been agreed upon. So in this case here, you can see that she does more than needed. Is it because of moral obligation? Not really. The teacher obligation is just to ensure the students are learning, or you should just need to teach and deliver the lesson. Okay, so staying back is not involved in this aspect. Now, when we talk about time of duty, usually there needs to be spelled out clearly from when to when you will do this. Not spelled out, so cannot be time of duty. Tour of duty, there's no foreign land involved, so the closest answer is call of duty. So you want to do something and do it well because it is your job. All right. Come, let's move on further to question 14 now. If we want to work well as a team, we need to dash our differences and focus on a task. So the first thing we observe is differences. So we need to ignore them, ignore this, ignore the differences. And this is to ensure that you work well as a team. Okay, looking at the options, the first one is put in. When you put something in, that means you include in writing or broadcast. Okay, it's got to do with publishing. Put off. Put off means you delay an event until later date. Put down. That means that you put something they are holding, you put an object on the floor. Put down your bag, that means you are holding your bag, going to school, then the teacher asks you take it out, don't burden your back. Okay, and lastly, put aside, that means you ignore a disagreement temporarily. Okay, so you can see here the differences that you need to put aside is that is what we are looking at. Okay, so the answer will be number 4. The other options just don't make sense because certain elements are not present. There is no writing, there's no event present, and there's no object that the writer is holding on to. So the 3 options are just not logical. Okay, come, let's take a look at question 15 now. Having bitten off more than I could chew, I dashed the help of my classmates to complete the project. Okay, now we have this very interesting idiom here, bitten off more than you can chew. That means the author took more work than he can handle. And you can see that as a result, he needs to ask his classmates for help. Right? That's why this blank here is the same as asking for help. Okay, so looking at the options, the first one that we have here is enlisted. So enlisted, that means you ask and get help from someone. Enrolled, this means that you officially register as a member. I enrolled in the school, that means I'm going to be a member of a school, I'm going to be a student. Third one is mustered. Mustered means that you are coming together. So usually this is in the war scenario when the soldiers are mustered together. That means they come together for a common goal. And lastly, volunteered means that you freely offer help to complete a task. Okay, so the closest option that we have here would be number 1. When you ask and you manage to get the necessary help. So it'll be you enlisted the help of your classmates. Alright. I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information here before we move on to our next few questions. All right. If there are no further questions, let's move on to our vocabulary close now. Okay, so what will happen is as follows. I'll read through the text with you and we will understand the underlying words. Once done, we would look at the options and choose the correct one. So let's read. Along Beach Road resides one of Singapore's oldest heritage sites. It is a quaint little mosque founded by Hajah Fatimah binti Sulaiman. So the word quaint here means something is very old-fashioned and also attractively unusual. So you will be like interested to find out more about this place because it's like a very old building among all the new flats and new metropolitan designed buildings. Originally, there stood a house with a large compound built by Hajah Fatimah. So the compound here is you're referring to an area surrounded with fences. Seeing how huge the place was, thieves broke into her house. That means they are entering the house illegally. All right. However, they did not find anything much of value because she did not believe in hoarding material possessions. So hoarding here means you collect a large amount of items. Okay, so the thieves burned the house down. Luckily, Haja Fatima was away on business and was not harmed. Grateful that she had escaped unscattered, she donated her land as well as funds needed for the construction of a mosque and several houses for the poor. Her general Her generous gesture was much appreciated by the community. So over here, we are interested in the word generous. Generous means you have the readiness to give more than expected. All right. So with this in mind, let's take a look at the options given to us. Now, question 16 tests you on the word quaint, which means old-fashioned and a very attractively unusual architecture. Okay, so looking at our options, the first one is remote. Remote basically means that your place is far from the main town or population. So you just are very separated from another place. Now, next one is antique. Antique. Antique means something is made in the earlier, made in earlier time period. So we are just interested in this idea that something is very, very old. Okay. Thirdly, we have the word charming, which means something is very pleasant and attractive. Okay, and lastly, run down means something is very is abandoned. That means you never take good care of it. Okay, so the idea when you talk about a quaint little mosque, we're looking at something that is that draws the attention of people. All right, so the idea is number 3, charming. So even though there's this idea that is old-fashioned, right? We will not call it antique, because antique is just looking at how this is very old. But in this case here, when you have quaint, we are looking at how you want to it draws attention of people. Okay, and this idea of attracting people to look at it to find out more isn't encapsulated in the word antique. Okay, 17, compound. Okay, that's what they test you, which means an area that is surrounded by fences. So looking at our options, the first one is area. Area is just referring to a particular piece of land. So of course, this piece of land will have whatever that's built on it, etc. Zone has zone means an area marked out for purpose. So for example, when you go to school, the road there is known as school zone. That means they are marked out specifically for transporting you guys to school, and therefore the drivers need to slow down. Okay, next one is garden. Garden is just a piece of land with trees and flowers. So we're just looking at greenery. Lastly, neighborhood refers to a community. That means there are people together, they know one another, and it's a very active area where there are interactions between different families. Okay, so going back to our question, we're just interested in a compound, just an area built with fences, which means the closest option that we have is number 1. Okay, just a particular piece of land, nothing interesting, nothing new. Alright, come, let's take a look at question 18 now. When they broke into a house, okay, that means you enter someone's house illegally. Usually we are looking at robbers, burglars, these kind of things. Okay, now look at the first option, burglar. So Burglar here means you enter a building to commit crime. Okay. Next, wrecked means that you damaged badly. So maybe you can say after the accident, the car was wrecked. Means that maybe the lot of parts were damaged, things like that. Vandalize means that you deliberately destroy. Usually we talk about public property. So if you vandalize something, maybe you vandalize the toilet, you draw on the toilet, the partitions, things like that. Lastly, we have the word demolish. So demolish here means you knock down a building. Okay, so back to our question. When we talk about breaking into a house, right? We're just looking at how you enter the house illegally for a crime, usually a robber. So the closest option is number 1. Okay, because of this idea of crime. Yes, Sai, Jack Sai, they are correct. The answer is number 1. Okay, let's go on to question 19. Now, we are looking at hoarding the materials. That means you collect large amount of items, right? So looking at looking at our options, the first one is hiding. Hiding means you conceal something. You don't want people to see. You put it in a very a corner of your house. You cover it up. Hiding. Next is saving. Saving, that means you put money in a bank. Earning. Earning means you obtain money in return for your labor. Okay, so you are looking at how somebody earns money. That means, for example, I teach and I'm paid for teaching. That's called earning money. Okay, and lastly, we have stashing. So what is stashing? Stashing basically means that you store something in large quantities. All right. Okay, very good, our friend Jack Sai. Yes, the answer here will be number 4, because you are trying to over here collect large amount of items and you're trying to keep them. All right, keep them safe. Okay, last question. Generous. Generous means that you are really willing to give more than is needed and more than what people expect of you. Okay, so the first one is sufficient. Sufficient, that means something is enough, is adequate. This is authentic. Authentic means something is real, something is true, something is legitimate. Okay. Hospitable means someone is friendly or welcoming. And magnanimous means that you are very generous and you are very forgiving. Okay, to less powerful people. All right, so for this question here, when we look at generous, the closest answer or the direct synonym is number 4. Okay, so very good, our friend Jack Sai. That will be our answer. Now, I just give everyone some time to take in the information here before we move on to our next section. Alright, if there are no further questions, let's move on. Okay, now let's take a look at some grammar close questions now. Alright. Now looking at the question, the essential thing in life is not conquering, but fighting well. Of all the great sporting festivals held all dash the world and throughout history. Okay, so you can see the world is a very big place, and we are looking at multiple events being held at different places. So we will say all all over the world. Okay, so over here we are interested in a preposition. The Olympic Games reign supreme. They are watched by more people than any televised event. So we are over here when they talk about any, they are referring to uh, events not including Olympics. So we'll say there are any other televised events referring to um, things that are not needed. Yeah, very good. Pay by. The Olympic Games remain one of the few sporting competitions that the athletes do not receive any cash prizes from winning the competitions. So you can see Olympic Games, and these Olympic Games are usually held at a particular place. Okay, so we'll say it's one of the few competitions where the athletes do not receive the cash prizes. And next, dash the glory of being an Olympic champion and receiving a gold medal is everything. Pay by. Are you referring to question 31? Now, Olympic Games, this one is a bit tricky here because Olympic Games is held at a location. So when it's held at a location, then we'll use where. Okay. Now, moving to question 32 now. Dash the glory of being an Olympic champion and receiving a gold medal is everything. So you can see there is one school of thought here, which is if you win, you receive all this cash prize, everything. But the other alternative is here. Yes, very good. Our friend Pei Fa Yi. The answer is instead here. Okay. After years of personal sacrifice, extreme dedication, dash having to train for long hours in all weather conditions. So for question 33 here, we are interested in, you can see these three things are similar ideas, which highlights that it's very tough. Okay, so to link them up, the conjunction we use is and. Alright. In all weather conditions, the world's greatest athletes meet every 4 years, dash decide who will be the Olympic champions. So you can see for question 34, we are looking at how when they meet every 4 years, what will they do? This is the elaboration, right? They'll fight out to see who's the champion. So we'll say to decide. Okay, very good. Competitors dream of, yes, to decide. Dream of standing dash the winner's podium and receiving gold medals. So you can see the winner's podium is a surface or a surface that you need to stand on. Right, so we'll say standing atop. All right, and receiving gold medals. Dash their national anthem is being played. So you can see there are two different events occurring, and these two events are concurrent. So it will be receive their gold medals while the national anthem is being played. And this is the climax of their athletic careers. Of all the Olympic sports, the dash popular are the track events. So we need a superlative comparative word here because of the word the. So you'll say the most. Alright. A number of sprinters, hurdlers, and distant runners dash become household names. So you can see this is plural. And this action is really completed. So we'll say they have become household names. Okay, okay, in this case, there isn't the word have. So we are trying to emphasize. Now we're trying to emphasize the fact that they have become very popular, right? Household names. So we'll say even become household names instead. All right. Okay, I'll just keep this here for a bit for everybody to take in the information before we move on further. All right. If there are no further questions, then we'll be looking at our editing section now. How do we reduce food waste? Yes, very good, our friend Pei Bai. She does not let the ingredients. Oh, yes, it's with the IENTS. Yep. Please be careful with the spelling, our friend. Okay, when housewife Jenny Tan cooks a soup for her family, she does not let the ingredients go to waste. Instead of dash the chicken breast meat used for boiling the soup, she saves it for another dish the next day. Okay, so instead of discarding, okay, we're using the continuous form here because the action will be ongoing. The 44-year-old says, I was dashed up in a family where awareness of reducing food wastage was inculcated at the young age. So it will be I was brought up because this is a past event. And now the next one is inculcated. So it's spelled this way, inculcated. Keeping a food journal allows her to understand her family's daily dietary needs. Dietary is spelled this way. She initially used it to keep track of the harvest dash her edible garden. So you can see this is the source of what you need to keep track on. So you'll say harvest from her edible garden. And to understand how the vegetables contributed to her daily meals. So contributed is spelled this way. The diary helped her to plan her meals, dash her food stock at home and not buy too much food. Plan, this is base form because of the word to. And now to plan, to manage. So you'll be as such. Alright. She says dash food such as mangoes, blueberries, and tomatoes from the bin. So perishable is also spelled wrongly here. So it's perishable. Okay. And blend them into a puree and freezing them into ice cube trays. She dashed the frozen ice cubes into resealable, freezer-friendly bags. So over here is a singular subject and we are also in the present tense. So it will be she packs the frozen cubes into the bag. To help her identify the bags, she labels and dates. You can see bag, so it will be plural, so dates them. She usually uses the frozen fruit for smoothies. It takes discipline to reduce food wastage, but ultimately I save money. So this is how you spell discipline. Alright. And with that, we have come to the end of this section. I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information before we move on. Alright. Are there any questions? If there are, do feel free to ask me. If there are no further questions, we will move on very shortly. Alright, so let's take a look at our comprehension clause now. Okay, so this question is about bees and wasps. Bees and wasps are two insects that are closely related. They both play dash important role in nature as pollinators. So we are looking at just one row, singular, and not forgetting it is a vowel. So we will play an important role. All right. Now, they transfer pollen as they travel from plant to plant. Without them, plants cannot thrive and we may not have beautiful blooming flowers to dash at. Okay, so our question here is about how we look at the flowers. So what do you do at the flowers? Right. The easiest way and it's very clear cut. When it's beautiful, it means your eyes will be fixated on it. So it will be to look at. Alright. These insects are crucial to farming, and because of them, crops can flourish. Otherwise, there might be a shortage dash food such as fruit, rice, or wheat. So when you have a shortage and they give you the elaboration of what are the things that we have a shortage of, you use the preposition of. Alright. Dash from helping to cross-fertilize plants, wasps kills many pests like caterpillars. So you can see this is use number 1 and the second use of wasps is here. So to show the similar ideas. And not forgetting the word from, we will say apart from. Okay? Okay, these pests destroy crops. As their population can quickly grow out of dash, they can bring much harm to crops. So when the population can quickly and grow, it means that it will be very, very difficult to stop. Therefore, we will use the word to out of control. Okay, these 3 words also tell us about the crops. When wasps kill pests, they help to dash their numbers in check. So when you want the numbers to be in check, we are trying to maintain something. Okay, so we'll say to keep their numbers in check. It is a well-known fact that bees make honey. Dash is often sold in supermarkets as a superfood. So we are looking at how honey has this idea of a superfood. Okay, so we'll say which is often sold in supermarkets as superfood. Honey is also used to make in skincare and used in home remedies to fight ailments. Thus, bees are considered by many as useful insects, and both bees and wasps live in colonies. The queen is an important member of the colony, and it enjoys a higher rank dash than other members. So for question 58 here, we are looking at how higher, this is a comparison. So the preposition to talk about comparison would be than. Okay, usually there's only one queen, but paper wasps dash example have more than one. So you're trying to give an example. So they are trying to elaborate on the paper wasps as the outlier. So we'll say, for example, okay, the queens are not equal in rank, and paper wasps dash the ability to recognize different faces. So you can see the wasps here is plural. And the whole text here is in present tense. Okay, as such, we will say have. Okay, then let's move on. While people generally are accepting of bees, the same dash be said of wasps. However, the dash are one of those insects that that many love to hate. So you can see the wasps are annoying. So we are saying that there is a difference. So they are accepting of bees, but it cannot, because it's the opposite idea, opposite sentiments for the wasps. Okay. Now you can see this is a very tricky one. We all know that this blank here refers to the warps and how there is a contrast in the views. However, you cannot say the warps because over here they use are. Okay, so we need to use a word to show this group of people. We'll say the latter. Okay, which means the second subject in the question. People find what's annoying dash to a lack of awareness among the public. So you can see this is a reason. So it will be due to the lack of awareness. Many people only know wasps as dangerous insects that sting, to be avoided dash or cause. So these three words are always together to show that people that you need to be you need to go all out. That means you need to be very focused in avoiding this animal. So it will be at or cost. Okay, wasps badly need a dash in public opinion, hopefully with education. So this education is very important because it would make the public opinion better. So the word would be need a change in the public opinion. All right. Okay, and with that, we have come to the end of this section. Are there any questions? All right. If there are no further questions, I thank you for joining me this afternoon on our Writers at Work TikTok session. All right. If you have any questions regarding our lessons and things like that, do stay back and ask me. If not, I'll see you guys again on Thursday and Friday, 10:30 a.m. for our primary 5 and 6 lessons, as well as for our friends in secondary school, it will be 12 p.m. Okay, I'll see you guys around. Bye bye.